and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, then your face should surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray. Hooray. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray. Hooray. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray. Hooray. If you're happy and you know it, do all three. Hooray. If you're happy and you know it, do all three. If you're happy and you know it, then your face should surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, do all three. Okay, story time. A few weeks ago, on Halloween night, I asked my daughter to go on a bike ride with me. It was 30 minutes before her friends were due to arrive, and they'd be off on their final Halloween trick-or-treating adventure of their teenage years. I saw the reservation in her face. She probably thought my request was pretty lame, but she went along with it. She was dressed as a cowgirl in a black shirt, blue frilly jeans, and a cowgirl hat. As we rode through the neighborhood, we saw families trick-or-treating, so like parents with their little kids. Here I am with my 17-year-old on a bike. We saw our favorite Halloween display from one of our favorite neighbors, Miss Meg. She always decorates her home with lights for Halloween. She always themes it out. And then she lets us walk through her house. My daughter and I met her one Halloween because she needed to use the bathroom, and she let us walk in her house. She used the bathroom, and it was decked out in Halloween decoration too. We also heard music blaring out from some of the homes that we've probably gotten candy from on Halloween nights past, just like we were getting on this night. So, as we made our way and looped through the neighborhood and came back to our home, I was flooded with memories of why this moment was so special. For the past few months, my daughter has been applying to college. She's made it really clear with her father and I that she does not want to stay close, and she wants to probably travel up the Northeast. We're in Florida. She likes it up here. She must like the cold, guys. So, knowing that, coupled with this being her last childhood Halloween, I was laser focused on just making sure that I was mindful about every single thing that happened on this night. You see, years ago, I owned an award-winning indoor play space called Amaya Papaya. It's actually named after my daughter. This is me years ago outside of that building. My daughter is here in the room with me. That's Amaya. And there at that facility, I developed programs, I developed playgroups, and support groups for the parents, in addition to play and the birthday parties and all the other fun that happened in that building. All of these things were surrounded and created through my belief in mindful play for kids. That business allowed my daughter and I to spend lots of time together, probably more time than both of us wanted to spend together at some times. But it wasn't always dedicated to just my family. That time was really dedicated to us running the business, doing some type of event at that location, and just really cultivating community with the people in our town and people from all over, because lots of people would look up this place in Orlando, Florida and say, hey, I want to go inside the play because it's super hot here in Orlando. So my daughter and I, back to this place, would play here all day, and she'll tell you that she would help me there sometimes. At this place on Halloween, we would hold a huge event called the Baby Boogie Bash, where we would have a live DJ, we'd pass out candy, and do all types of sensory play and fun things for the kids. Or on Halloween, we would be set up at a location passing out candy to people from the community. One of those years, we finished one of those events pretty early, and we were able to go home and decided to go trick-or-treating for ourselves. And we discovered this Halloween utopia that our very own community offered. What happened was that after we met Miss Meg and got candy from her, we reached in a little coffin and got the candy out. She offered me candy too, because apparently I'm a big kid. And we were kind of walking out of her house, and my daughter looked up at me and she said, "Mommy, can we decide not to do Halloween at Amaya Papaya anymore? Can we just go trick-or-treating?" I looked back at her and I said, yes. That was the last time I ever operated my business or worked on a Halloween, ever. So, as Amaya and I were on our bikes and we returned back home, I have these large spiders on my house and the cemetery scene. It welcomed us, and then her friends arrived. Her friends were dressed as crisscross. Anyone remember crisscross back in the day? Okay, it was very interesting to see teenagers dressed as crisscross and playing crisscross music out of her phone. It was fun. And then one of the kids was dressed as a princess. They joined my cowgirl, and they went walking off on their last childhood Halloween together with plastic bags, a Halloween bucket, and a pillowcase. Classic. So I feel like that was all in the spirit of mindful play. That was our Halloween. Hello, everyone. My name is Yolanda Dion Tyler, and it's my mission to help communities find passion and purpose through mindfulness and play. I've worked as a counselor, but most important to me, aside from just being a mom and a wife, I worked as an indoor play space owner, and when I sold that, I actually began to cultivate this curriculum for early learners that was based on all the stuff I used to do in this indoor play space. So when you leave here today, I want you to understand how community, creativity, and cognitive development correlate to play, and how mindfulness becomes a life skill that is woven through everything that we do. I asked earlier, but if any of you got to do the poll that was on the WOVA app, I asked how one of those things relates to play and mindfulness to you. So if you haven't done that poll already, go ahead, take a moment to just pick one of those things, community, creativity, and cognitive development, so I can see at the end of this today, what you think about those three things. As you're doing that, let me tell you that in this session today, we're going to play. You're going to network with one another. I'm going to tell you lots of stories in relation to mindfulness, so I hope you're ready for some stories. We're going to do a little bit of yoga. We're going to do music and movement, and then we're going to practice some breathing. And we're just going to have fun. So this is a little unscripted, but I would like for us to do the name song because there's not a lot of us here. And I really love when I'm in a room when we get to create community. So I have a name, you have a name, you should call me by my name, Yolanda, Yolanda, that's my name. I know, are you guys ready? I have a name, you have a name, I should call him by his name. What's your name? Michael, Michael, that's his name. I have a name, you have a name, I should call her by her name. Frances, Frances, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I should call her by her name. What's your name? Lauren, Lauren, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I should call her by her name. Barbara, 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 that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I should call her by her name. Lisa, Lisa, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I should call her by her name. Francine, Francine, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I should call her by her name. Andy, Andy, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I should call him by his name. Kellen, 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 that's his name. I have a name, you have a name, I must call her by her name. Astra, Astra, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I must call her by her name. Eldir, did I say it right? Eldir, Eldir, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I must call her by her name. What's your name? Sisra, Sisra, that's her name. It's your turn in the back. I have a name, you have a name, I must call her by her name. Lisa, Lisa, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I must call him by his name. Jono, Jono, that's his name. I have a name, you have a name, I must call her by her name. Jonella, Jonella, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I must call her by her name. What's your name? Shamin, Shamin, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I should call her by her name. Robin, Robin, that's her name. I have a name, you have a name, I must call him by his name. Kevin, Kevin, that's his name. And then we have our friend here that's working with us. Thank you for being here. I will not sing your name, okay? Did you want me to?
No, that's
okay. Okay, cool. No problem. And then we have our friend in the back. I have a question for you. How did you feel when I was singing to you? Did you feel special? Did you feel like I was connecting with you? Did you feel a little on the spot for some? But hopefully you felt good. That's mindfulness. That's me taking time for just you. For just you. That was our time. That was your time to feel good and to feel the sunshine and to kind of connect and smile back at me. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is focusing awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting your feelings, your thoughts, your bodily sensations, all without judgment. One of my favorite ways to focus on mindfulness is by doing something that I call the 5 senses of mindfulness. We're going to do it together. So what are your 5 senses? Shout them out to me. 5 senses. Go ahead. Very good. So we're going to start with sight. Go ahead, put your magical fingers in the air. Magical fingers. And then take your hands and cover your eyes because we're going to start with sight. So 1, 2, 3, and peekaboo. I can see with my, tell me, my eyes. And then hearing. I can hear with my ears. Go ahead, stick your tongue out. Ah. I promise I look sillier because you're all looking at me. Ah. I can taste with. Oh. I can smell with. And then magical fingers in the air again. Tickle your arms. I can touch with my fingers or my skin, right? And that is the 5 senses of mindfulness. Super easy way to teach mindfulness to little kids. That's mindfulness, being aware of all of those things, right? We just did that. That's the definition. We just did it, okay? This is a picture of my granny, Helen, and that's Amaya, that little girl there, when she was little. My grandmother's name is Helen. When my grandmother was alive, story time, guys, my family would meet at my mother's home for Taco Tuesday dinner night. Each of those evenings would be filled with laughter and some type of shenanigans induced by play. On one of these evenings, my daughter and my granny decided to turn their icy pop dessert into a race. They cut open their icy, and the race began. They started gulping down the icy to see who would finish it the fastest. Obviously, Granny finished her icy dessert first, while Amaya still had half of hers left. At that moment, they were equals, enjoying a simple moment of mindful play. What's significant about this moment is that Granny and Amaya leveled the playing field. They were equally engaged, and no one was typically or totally in control of the play. It happened naturally. I'm sure at least 5 more games were created before that night was over. Mindfulness is important for all generations. Would you not agree? We learn through play from one another. Play is not just for children. It's important for all of us at every point in our lives. So I have a question for you. Did you walk around Boston this weekend since you've been here? Did you have fun? It was cold, but that was play. You having fun and doing things that you like is play. You being at this conference, hopefully this weekend, was a form of play. Does anyone like to learn? You like the data and all the stuff that you get to take in? That's play. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. That's a quote by George Bernard Shaw. All right, here's something else. Intergenerational play reminds me of the breath, being mindful of my breath, and breath work. When children learn about breath awareness at a young age, they gain skills to self-soothe through childhood and regulate their emotions into adulthood. Do I seem super comfortable up here today? Do I? Maybe, maybe not. I had a panic attack yesterday. But guess what? I have self-regulating skills. That's a skill set that I have. I know how to self-regulate. I know how to calm myself. I've learned it. It's a skill. You know those magical fingers that you have? They fit into your magical pockets. Sometimes your magical pockets are real. Sometimes they're not real. But you have your magical fingers that fit into your magical pockets, and you take them with you everywhere you go. This is a Hoberman sphere. If you were my little people, I would say, what is this called? And they would say, a Hoberman sphere. And my Hoberman sphere is really cool because it's a visual to remind you how to breathe. So, show me your magical fingers again. And I want you to take your magical fingers and put them into your magical Hoberman sphere ball. And with your fingers, we're going to breathe together. So when we expand, go ahead and expand your fingers and contract. When we expand, we're going to fill our lungs or our bellies with air, and we're going to blow it out. Expand, fill your belly. your lungs. And blow it out. This time, do it again. And do it once more by yourself. I'll give you a minute if you wanted to just sit in that moment. So I like to define play using 3 C's. Through my work with early learners and their grown-ups, I developed a framework called the 3 C's of play. That's me playing in my indoor play space. I told you guys I'm a big kid. The 3 C's of play are community, creativity, and cognitive development. I believe that these things make up the overall simplicity of what we all call play. So, before we get into the 3 C's of play, we're going to do some yoga. This is going to be highly interactive for you today. I know that looks like a lot, and I know you see me on the ground. I promise you I will not ask you to get on the ground today. But we are going to do a playful salutation today. So, has anyone in here ever done yoga before? Awesome. If you've done yoga before, you've probably done a sun salutation, so this may look familiar to you. Yoga helps us to be mindful, and it helps us to be intentional about our bodily movements. In yoga, we call these movements asana. A sun salutation, for my friends that have done yoga before, nod if you agree with me, is a sequence. It's a series of specific poses. Those poses, they always build upon one another, and it's typically a warm-up, right? Whenever we do yoga, a lot of times we do a sun salutation before, or it might just be the whole class. For my birthday, I always try to do 108 sun salutations. A playful salutation is fun. It builds repetition for kids or whomever's doing it. And then the poses are usually named after relatable words. So we have our classic upward dog and downward dog. But then you see something here called high five hands or butterfly up. If I was doing something themed, instead of butterfly up, it might be bat up for Halloween. And then the words can change based on whatever you want them to do. So if you will delight with me and stand up, you can come to the back of your chair, to the side of your chair, get in the aisle, whatever you want. I promise you we are not going to go to the ground. We're just going to do some of these. So I'm going to say the pose, and then you're going to repeat after me. Go ahead and stretch. Because one of the things that I always ask the kids to do, and I'm going to ask you to do it, is look out the window. It's lovely that we're in here, right? Look out the window, and I want you to say, hello, sun. Hello, sun. Right, and then go ahead and yawn, stretch, because I know, oh my gosh. We're going to do high five hands, and you can say it after me. High five hands. Butterfly up. Butterfly down. Ragdoll, just hang here. You do not have to get on the floor, but then you would jump back, so you can jump back. And then you would plank pose. And then we would downward dog, upward dog, downward dog, upward dog, ragdoll, butterfly up, high five hands. You know how I know you were really into this? You guys stop repeating after me. Did it feel good? Did it feel good? Something simple that you can do. I have some cards that I'm going to give you today that you can take home and do those poses, okay? So back to the 3 C's of play. The first C in the 3 C's of play is community. Community is a feeling of fellowship with others due to sharing common goals, attitudes, interests, and goals. Attitudes, interests, and goals, all the same. So from the moment our kids begin to play, they begin to create their community. Think about it. Think about kids and playing. From interactions with family to interactions with people outside of the home, the social interactions your kids begin to encounter from 0 to 5 begins to shape and create the community that they will begin to imagine for themselves for years to come. Story time. My daughter's first word was dada. I was changing her diaper, and she looked up at me, and she said, da, 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 da. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, you need to wake up. She's calling you. She wasn't calling me. As she began to talk, one of the first things I taught her when gathering to play with friends was to call them by their names instead of just calling them that boy or that girl. On the playground, she would say, hi, my name is Amaya. What is your name? This concept of learning actual names helps to increase social skills, and it helps to build a foundation for mindful community building. One of my favorite things to do to encourage creating community when I'm leading a circle time, doing a talk, is to do the name song. We've already done that, right? Sing it with me. I have a name, you have a name, I must call her by her name or him. Friends, friends, that's your name. You're going to love this one. What you call networking, I call creating community. So take a few moments. I want everyone to stand up, and I want you to walk around and say hello to someone that you have not met this week. Go ahead, take a moment. Go say hello to someone. I know. You can give fist bumps. You can shake hands if you want, or you can just say hi. Make sure you're intentional. I know you're having fun, but go ahead and make your way back to your seats. It's always the fun part. It's always the fun part. It's the hardest part. Culture arises and unfolds in and as play. That's a quote by Johann Huizinga. Creativity. Creativity is the second C in the 3 C's of play. Creativity is the use of imagination or original ideas. You may not believe it, but people are naturally creative. You are. I know you may not always feel like you're creative. Play is natural. I know it may not always feel like play comes naturally. Creativity is play. Remember, we talked about you being here this weekend as a form of play. Have you ever watched a child play before? Have you ever just kind of sat and watched a child play? They have some of the most interesting ideas and concepts. However simplistic play seems to you, there is an entire complex symphony happening in a child's universe as they play. And I'm talking about a child that's small or a child that's as big as my almost 18-year-old. Think about it. There's a lot going on when they're thinking about and playing. When they're allowed to use their imagination during play, children learn empathy, they learn to regulate their emotions, and they learn to problem solve. I know that structured play is inevitable in our society, but unstructured play should be done as often as possible and encouraged. When you allow children to do this, this is where their personalities are created and goals are constructed. People construct goals through play. People develop their selves or their sense of selves and their personalities through play. One of my first memories of my daughter being 3 was taking her to a dance party and watching her kind of work the room and dance with other little friends. She'd be like, hey, hey. But that was like early personality building. Now she can kind of go into a room and she kind of does the same thing. So on this picture is a Barbie dream house. Did anybody have a Barbie dream house when they were little? Yep, that was mine. When I was little, I always said I would have a daughter one day. I don't even know why I was thinking about that, but I said I would have a daughter, and I asked my grandmother that you saw on the other slide to put that house up in her attic in New York State. And when I had Amaya, and she was old enough to play, I asked her to mail that doll house down to me to Florida, and Amaya would play with it. So story time. My daughter always loved playing with Barbies, well into middle school. Playing with her Barbie as a preteen was very different than when she played with them at age 3. Or was it? When she was younger, she gave the Barbies different voices as they communicated with one another. When she got older, her Barbies no longer had voices. However, she would play with them, and she would make different things for them, like food out of different materials. She would make clothes for them, and she would do the scary thing. She would cut their hair and put makeup on them, and they would look very different. But that was her being creative with her Barbies. So her playing with her Barbies gave her time to just be mindful about just playing and having fun. And it took her away from doing things like chores, not fun, or her middle school homework as she got older. Something really cool happened this summer. Did anybody see the premiere for the Barbie movie? All the advertisements. So when the Barbie movie came out this summer, my daughter came to me with her phone, because you know the phone, and she goes, look, have you seen this? The Barbie movie's coming out. And I was like, oh my gosh, because this is my Barbie house. I had lots of Barbies too. So her attending the Barbie movie was a trip down the memory lane of mindfulness and the spark of her original creativity that began with her playing with Barbies and that Barbie dream house that she inherited from me. Do you see where I'm going with this? Mindfulness is woven into everything that you do. Someone walked up to me yesterday and she said, I don't know how to do mindfulness with little kids. I think that what I know about mindfulness, I can never do that with a little kid. So far, have you learned ways to do mindfulness with little people? Right? You've learned some things. And you now see that it's possible. We're going to get into this lesson plan now. So one of the easiest ways to be creative during mindful play and planning for learners is through theming and consistency. High school people, show me your hands again. High school, middle school. And then I know we have our early learning people in here. Do you guys do homecoming at your high schools or middle school? Or like those spirit weeks? Usually spirit weeks in high school homecomings are what? They're themed, right? And we do that, why? Because it gets the kids engaged and it keeps them interested, right? Theming helps to build consistency, and it helps people to want to be involved in something that they're interested in. So this is an actual lesson plan from my book that I wrote. I'll show it to you. It's a curriculum guide. And we're going to use this. You can scan the QR code if you wanted to have it on your phone today or on the WOVA app, it's on the PowerPoint that I submitted. I'll give you a moment if you wanted to pull that up. So like I said, theming is the hook for your young learners. It draws them in based on the things that they know, things that they love. Think about like a little kid and dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. Now we can do all the dinosaur things because we have them hooked. This also works for adults. You as the instructor, if you pick a theme that you like, you might be a little bit more engaged doing it. Today, we're going to be pirates. Let me hear you. Right, exactly. So this is the actual lesson plan sequence that I use. I'm going to go over it with you, and then we're going to add our theming. So typically, this is how it goes. There's an opening song. I do show and tell. I do the 5 senses of mindfulness. Remember, our opening song was If You're Happy and You Know It. We do Hoberman sphere breathing. I always stay consistent with that so the kids know what to expect. I also always do my playful sun salutation. We did that today. And then I do a playful yoga pose related to that theme. I do finger plays, music and movement, sensory play, crafts, a game, yoga story time, meditation, closing song, and that's it. And just remember and note that all of these things don't have to be done in one setting. So let's get into it. Let's add our theme. So our opening song was what? What did we do today? If you're happy and you know it. Our show and tell, I have one somewhere. I didn't take it out, but if I'm doing this, what am I waving? My pirate flag. Arr. I would do the 5 senses of mindfulness, Hoberman sphere breathing, and a playful salutation. All of these items, with the exception of your show and tell item, builds consistency because the kids will always know what to expect. And this builds mindfulness as a skill because it builds consistency and allows them to know what to expect and allows them to now be mindful about these things and not have to worry about something changing for them. Next up, this portion of the lesson plan is where you get to be creative, have fun, and add elements of surprise. The components stay the same, but the activities change based on our theme. This is where the kids get to practice expanded mindfulness and learn new things that are familiar. So in this case, our pose of the day is going to be our pirate boat. This is my Medi Teddy. Everybody say hi, Medi Teddy. Hello. Medi Teddy allows me to not have to do a yoga pose if I'm not in the mood to do yoga because sometimes, let's face it, as educators, we might not always be in the mood to do these things, right? So Medi Teddy allows me to say, this is our pose today. If you want to do it with me, here you go. So if you wanted to, let's scoot our chairs back. Just a little bit. Scoot your chairs back. And then sit on your chair and just put your legs up. Put your arms up. And now you are doing boat pose. Showing you this in your chair because this can be done from a chair. This can just be one of the moments of mindfulness. All right, everybody. We're going to do a quick boat pose. All right, boat pose. I know you look silly, but let's hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. You guys are really strong. I think you can just sit like this all day. No? Okay, put them down. So it just gives you a way to add something in. And then you can say, like, we're pirates today. My finger play would be 10 little pirates. I'm not going to sing that to you today. And then my music and movement would be roll up the mat. Has anyone ever seen Jake and the Neverland Pirates? It was a cartoon a few years ago, really cool song. But in this case today, we're not going to do roll up the map. We are actually going to do some parachute play. So I have 2 parachutes down on the floor. If you guys wanted to get up and join me, please come, stand by a color. There's a parachute here and a parachute there. So while you're coming over, I'm going to tell you that this is a song that I learned back when I was in maybe the 1st or 2nd grade. I used to live in Syracuse, New York. I went to Ed Smith Elementary School, and I remembered this because at some point I was probably mindful of doing this activity with my music teacher. Shout out to that music teacher. They don't even know that they taught me something that now in my 40s I'm teaching at a conference. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to pick up your parachute. You're going to wiggle it. And this song, like I told you, was something I learned back when I was a kid. When I learned this originally, it was about sailors, not pirates. But one day I needed to do a parachute play, and I needed it to be about pirates. So I was like, I got it. So I'm going to sing the first verse to you, and then what's going to happen is every verse thereafter, you are going to fill in the blank. So the song always changes. Are you ready? Go ahead and wiggle. When I say go over, you're going to go up. When I say go under, you're going to go down. Are you ready? When I was one, I ate a bun going over the sea. I jumped aboard a pirate ship, and the pirate said to me, you guys ready? Going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3, wiggle. When I was two, I need you to give me something or I'm going to be stuck. When I was two, give me something that rhymes with two. When I was two, I lost my shoe going over the sea. I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. When I was three, somebody over here. When I was three, I fell out of a tree going over the sea. I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. When I was four, I knocked on the door going over the sea. I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. When I was five, somebody give me something. I went to dive going over the sea. I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. When I was six, I had some sticks going over the sea. That was a good one. I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. There's always one I get for this, but when I was seven, I dreamt of heaven. I'm so happy you didn't have us going to heaven at 7. Going over the sea, I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. When I was 8, I stood up straight and I had a date. You gotta be standing up straight on your date. Going over the sea, I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. When I was 9, I walked the line going over the sea. I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. When I was 10, I'm not going to do it again, going over the sea. I jumped aboard a pirate ship and the pirate said to me, going over, going under, stand at attention like a pirate with the 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and wiggle your parachute. Faster, 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 faster. Take it up, take it down, and let it go. Good job. Go back to your seats. Give yourselves a hand. Gonna get some water because that was a lot. I always ask myself, how am I going to continue on after I do that during the presentation? So the next part of the lesson plan is where open-ended play takes place. This is where kids choose to participate in the activity as they wish. This is where they get to use their imagination and make the activity work through mindful creativity for them. So on the screen, you're going to see a little boy. That's my little guy, Sammy, and he's playing with a pirate treasure sensory bin. What I did in this case was I got one of those little pools, the little plastic pools from probably a local Walmart, filled it with sand, and put some pirate treasure in it. Next, you see that pirate map. We made that by tearing a paper bag, allowing the kids to draw on it. And so drawing could be drawing what actually looks like a map, or just drawing little blobs, or coloring like little squiggly lines. They can color with crayons or markers or paint, whatever you want to add on here for the map. In this case, we then took some olive oil and smudged it all over the map, and then we balled it up and crumpled it and opened it and made it look like an old rustic map. And then here's my little friend Sophia with her mom. Her mom's in the picture holding her. And during that circle time, we had pirate time. They dressed up when they came because they knew it was going to be pirates, so they knew what to anticipate. And then around the space, I had hidden pirate treasure, and they used their map to search for pirate treasure around. So, theming, right? Theming is really important. Theming can be done in a way that's elementary, in a way that's super early learner, or you can abbreviate these things and age them up for your school-age kids, although I think school-age kids would like some of this stuff, and for middle schoolers and high schoolers. I'm telling you, my high schoolers, they want to do this stuff because they don't get to play. They don't get to play. So this allows them to be able to play. That lesson plan that I showed you in its full spectrum, we're going to go through it through the remainder of our time together, okay? Almost all creativity involves purposeful play. That is a quote by the Abraham Maslow. I'll give you a moment. Everyone always likes to take the screenshots of these. That's always great. Oh, shout out to my intern for the great images. So the third C of the 3 C's of play is cognitive development. Cognitive development is the emergence of the ability to consciously be aware, understand, and articulate understanding in adult terms. Adult terms doesn't always mean that they totally understand as adults. It just means like in adult terms, almost being there. You understand a little bit more. You have like understanding of something. So don't think that I'm saying that little kids understand as total adults, okay? Cognitive skill development in children involves the progressive building of skills such as attention, memory, and thinking. These skills allow children to process sensory information, and they eventually learn to evaluate, analyze, remember, make comparisons, and understand cause and effect. Although some cognitive skill development is related to a child's genetic makeup, most cognitive skill is learned. That means thinking and learning skills can be improved with practice and the right training. So here's a story for you. When my daughter was little, her favorite book was Knuffle Bunny by Mo Willems. Has anyone ever seen the book? It's about Trixie, right? And her Knuffle Bunny. My husband and I would read that book to her every single day. Sometimes 5 times in one day. When we weren't reading Knuffle Bunny to her, she was reading Knuffle Bunny to us. Her reading began as her telling us what she remembered us reading to her, and eventually her identifying actual words in the book. Eventually, she was reading that whole book by pre-K. By 1st grade, this kid was reading chapter books about Junie B. Jones. Does anybody know Junie B. Jones? Middle school people. And then in 5th grade, she was reading the Kingdom Keeper series. And in middle school, it only took her about a week to finish a whole chapter book. My kid has always loved to read. The Kingdom Keepers, anybody ever heard of the Kingdom Keepers before? Kingdom Keepers is a series about Walt Disney World. It happens in Disney. It's all Disney stuff. It's really cool. I'm a Disney fan. So what started as play us reading to her for fun, developed into a skill, her learning how to read, became play again, a motivated activity done for recreational pleasure and enjoyment, which is the actual definition of play. And then mindfulness, in this case, her being fully engaged in the act of reading the book, whether it was with us, her reading to us, or her being in her room and me opening up her door and seeing her reading that book all by herself. That's the mindfulness. She's fully engaged in it. So, one of my favorite ways to tie cognitive development with mindfulness is by using mantras as meditation. So, does anybody know what a mantra is? You've heard of a mantra? Acupressure? Okay, so a mantra is a statement that is repeated to aid concentration. Mantras help to guide children in developing a sense of self, and it encourages them to self-regulate. So, acupressure is the movement of touching fingertips and applying pressure. Go ahead and do that for yourself. This helps the children to remember the words that we're going to put to the mantra, and it helps them to release stress naturally. Okay? So go ahead and point at me. Point at yourself. Give yourself a high five. That pointy finger, you're going to touch it to your thumb. And then you're going to touch your middle finger to your thumb. Ring finger to your thumb. Pinky finger to your thumb. And now you're going to say peace begins with me. Take a deep breath. Magical fingers, magical pockets. Take out your magical fingers, and let's do our mantra. Peace begins with me. Hide them under your table, and go ahead and do that to yourself. Now, I want you to do it silently. Mindfulness. It's a skill, okay? This is meditation. It's a skill. It's something easy that you can teach kids to do to self-regulate without their friends seeing them. I can take out my magical fingers under my desk and do this, okay? So now it's your turn. I want you to pick 4 words that make you feel good. If I were to ask my little kids, my elementary kids, I would say, hey, pick 4 words for me. And usually they're going to say something like, I really like ice cream. Cool. That's what makes you feel good. I want you to pick 4 words. Go ahead, write them down, type them out, think about them. 4 words. After you do that, I want you to share your 4 words with the person next to you. And then the next step is you practicing your 4 words with your acupressure. Would anyone like to share their mantra? Anyone want to share? Go ahead, Kevin. Say. Use any 4 words. Go. I like it. Let's do Kevin's mantra. Use any 4 words. Anyone else? I am so special. All right. One more. Anybody else want to share? I have time for one more. All right. Life is worth living. Ooh, I like that. Yeah. I like it. Play is the royal road to childhood happiness and adult brilliance. Do you guys believe that? Mm-hmm. So, as you leave today, I hope you incorporate the 3 C's of play as you approach mindfulness with early learners, school-age kids, middle schoolers, high schoolers, and even adults in your lives, or for yourself. I hope you remember these 3 things. The use of imagination during play directly helps to shape perspectives on our community and our surroundings. Play fosters creativity and problem solving. And play allows the ability to integrate emotion with cognition. Go ahead and take out your magical fingers one last time. You can cover your eyes, close your eyes, and then put your hands on your lap. While keeping your eyes closed if you feel safe, or just lighten your gaze and just looking at something. Go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose, fill your stomach, and blow it out through your mouth to empty your stomach. Now freeze, breathe, and relax. Now wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and I want you to listen to the bell tickles. Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo, I love you. Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo, I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening and underneath the moon. Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo, I love you. Thank you for joining me today.